anything you want to say to the other cities, like Chicago?
Chicago, you're gonna be wishing that you could FF for 5 minutes.
Chicago, where you at? You suck, boys. Come on, all you bronze players, come on, where you at? Your diamonds are like gold to us.
Well, Dallas has the best food. I mean, you can't beat Tex-Mex and ribs, so we're just gonna be better fueled. We're just gonna smash everyone. In Chicago, pizza? Come on, everyone has pizza. We got it.
Yeah, Windy City, you guys are too frigid to win. And I hear Chicago's trash talking to us, but just so you know, your pizza sucks.
Great, and you're playing Chicago?
We're playing Chicago.
All right, do you have any messages for Chicago?
No, we're not playing Chicago. We're beating Chicago. You're confused.
Game on, Chicago. Free Tyler 1.
Good fortune from Dallas. I moved here from Chicago to the better city. Everything's bigger in Texas, and I got a really big trophy case to put this trophy in when we get back.
I'm going to tell you right now, Dallas, nothing. LA, nothing. Miami, come on.
Coming at you, your boy Zeus. Coming in with those raunchy Paris plays. Get ready, Miami. We're coming after you.
I'm Snowy. I'm 880C. My name's Takeas. I play mid and.
Some of the name is Double D. I'm going to be the jungler.
I play support, main Mariana, and Chicago clearly has better looking support, so.
Woohoo! Please welcome Super League Gaming CEO, Ann Hand.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think you got the point, right? There might be video problems all day today, but still, hopefully, you got a little bit of the feeling of the Chicago force. Super League Gaming is a venture-backed company based in Santa Monica, right down the road. And we're very happy to be here today. You're going to see a lot of stats, and they're going to come from much better resources than Super League. But obviously, for us, it's hard to deny the power of this growing, vast industry. There's over 2 billion people who play video games around the world. And what is kind of fascinating for us is just the way that we think it's on the cusp of actually eclipsing traditional sports in so many ways. And yet there's so many opportunities that still aren't being seized by it. And so just like a fascinating fact that right now, when you look at the average esports enthusiast, which is only about 150 million people worldwide, so those are people who are actually following the professional esports content. Those fans generate about $3 of revenue per fan. So that's a pretty low number out there. That's about 1/10 of traditional sports like the NFL. So just a huge amount of opportunity. And anytime I'm pitching investors or talking to different brands and I'm trying to help them really get the gravity of how big this space is, I often find that a couple of these headlines kind of wake people up. When Tencent bought the stake in Supercell for $8.6 billion, just keep in mind that that's twice what Disney paid for the Star Wars property. Super League is really about creating a social home base for all gamers. And so when we talk about all gamers, we're talking about gamers of different ages and levels of play, and also gamers across a variety of genre of games. And what it's about is it's about creating fresh content, both online and online play and offline live events. So think of it as integrated gameplay that really can unite gamers and actually get a really wide reach of gamers. Earlier, you saw, if you were here at the start, you saw a video that showed Peter Moore from EA talking about the esports pyramid. And even when we've had great meetings with our partners at Riot and some folks at ESL, this is always a very common way that people kind of look at and position what is Super League. And really what we try to explain to people is that We're not really about the esports elite. We love them because we need those iconic great players out there to really be the rally cry, but we're about capturing the bigger base. So we're about the 99.9% of gamers that may aspire to be professional esports players or maybe aspire to be a shoutcaster or an influencer, but they're all people who love video gaming and want a more competitive format for that. And so we always often talk about the fact that we're going after the base of the pyramid. And why that's kind of fascinating is whether you're just a recreational casual player and you just want to make more friends and find ways to socially connect around these games you love, Super League in that case really allows you a way to kind of get out of your bedroom or your basement and go find ways to have that game unite you, but also give you an opportunity to learn some good things about that game that maybe it's hard to learn when you're playing alone. Things like teamwork and collaboration and good sportsmanship. But also for the very serious player who's an amateur player moving up the ranks, what Super League starts to do is create a bit of a first look at talent or a feeder pool. Every time I get a little stuck at the company on an idea, how we want to push forward, I often find that so many of the answers lie in traditional sports. The best players online right now that are amateurs won't necessarily make the best players as professional esports players. You know why? It's the same reason why I might be able to make a basket on someone's driveway, but I don't have a hope and a prayer of doing it on a real basketball court with people yelling at me and passing the ball and a coach and fans. Same thing's true for professional esports. What Super League arenas do is start to provide a way to test someone's chops in the amateur ranks and see if they have what it takes to kind of one day maybe take the stage in a large arena like Staples. So the building blocks of the company start with the theaters. You can see that. We looked at it in the early days and we said, look, when you're trying to think of what's a natural playing field for amateur recreational video gaming leagues, what better playing field is there than movie theaters, right? They're sitting there with this thunderous, loud, tons of sound and great video screen experience, but they're also empty a lot of the day. And so what we found is a very overwhelming response from the exhibitor community, really excited at the notion of turning one of their auditoriums and one of their larger theaters into a gaming arena. And because we establish broadband in these theaters and turn our equipment on, it really means that aside from the play events where physically all the people coming in are playing in the theater and seeing a very premium experience on the big screen, it also means that we can do a lot of things with that space. So we can be doing a lot of watch events and other ways. Our goal, we're very fortunate to have one of our investors be Cinemark, and our goal as we talk to their board and their CEO is that we really want to prove out that we can make Auditorium number 7 at Playa Vista a full-time gaming arena. So that's the goal that we have.
As we get this working, I actually wanted to switch everything around a little bit and jump right into questions first. A lot of interesting stuff, I think, that's come up, and we'll jump back in. But let's spend a couple minutes on questions. I think first I'm fascinated by the girl gamer aspect of this as well. So can you talk a little bit about that? And I also, that's my question, but you guys have questions as well. So let's talk a little bit about the questions. We think about this from a broader amateur perspective rather than just a more focused professional perspective.
Sure, and actually, even though we don't have slides, it does kind of dovetail perfectly with the next slide. So
go ahead.
We talked about the theaters a bit. The next important thing is the games. And so as I talked earlier, I talked about the fact that we want to amass this wide, diverse audience of social gamers and really have a meaningful engagement with them. And it does start with game selection. So we're very fortunate that we have 2 fantastic initial games out there, wonderful relationships with Mojang and with Riot to bring Minecraft competitive leagues and League of Legends events to theaters. And as you talk about the girl gamer and the diverse gamer, our Minecraft leagues, think of them as Little League. Think of them as, just like you might go 4 weeks in a row to an AYSO or Little League type of event, we're doing that same structure around the Minecraft game. And a lot of people say, well, how do you do that? Minecraft's not a competitive game. That's the beauty of Super League is we've designed a point and tournament system that's an agnostic platform that even for games that don't necessarily have that built into them functionally today, we have a mechanism to create a positive competitive league around it. So with Minecraft, we're talking about 6 to 14-year 1-year-olds right now with the structure of how the league works. We're actually talking to Minecraft parents too. That's important because to get on superleague.com and to put in your Minecraft ID and your credit card to buy your season pass requires a parent. And so what's been interesting for certain brands with that is that they really like the fact that we're talking to such an interesting demo. A nice kind of 40% mix of young girls playing, and equally we have mom and dads standing there. The cool thing about those events, what surprised me the most, was how much the parents stay. Anecdotally, lots of parents coming up and saying, thank you for giving me a mechanism to enjoy this game with them because I can't stand over their shoulder in their room and watch them play. And actually, I never realized this game was so positive, how much their computer literacy is growing. So you've given me a mechanism to participate in this, and we go home at night and we talk about it at the dinner table. So the parents stand on the sidelines of the movie theater seats. Interestingly, most don't sit in the seats, almost like they're respecting the seats as the playing field a bit. And so they stand on the sides and they have a lot of fun together. And of course, we do have a few fun moms in the back who sometimes at certain theaters that have bars call it Winecraft, which we don't formally have any brand endorsements around, if any of you want to talk about that later. But it's kind of fun to see that social connection that happens between the parents and the kids. And we do give out a scholarship at the end. So we've now awarded 7 different team scholarships across North America for the winning team. So pretty cool that we have a 5-year-old in Pacific Palisades who has a $2,500 scholarship to college already. That'll help him with his school applications, I'm sure. And then, of course, big announcement in November that we started bringing competitive amateur leagues around the wonderful game League of Legends. We are so grateful. We're about 3 blocks away from Riot's headquarters, and to have such a fantastic game publisher kind of really embrace us being an early stage company and validate that we could bring something that their community's been asking for. Wanting that way to physically, socially connect and deeply engage, find more people they can go back and play with online, but also that competitive league structure that some of those people moving up the amateur ranks really were desiring. So what we have now are 2 key offers, and these are wrapper offers that work for different types of games. So they're not unique just to League of Legends, but really City Rec, which is designed to be casual pickup play. You maybe not be too competitive, but you want to make friends and find ways to connect. And then City Champs, which is a much more heightened competition. For League of Legends, you need to be a level 30 player. So it really is finding the best of the amateurs in these cities. So that video you saw, part of it at the start, is actually, those were our first ever City Champs. So what we announced in November was that we were bringing League of Legends competitive play to theaters, that the first 4 city teams, which are our city teams, are the Miami Menace, the LA Shockwaves, the Chicago Force, and the Dallas Dynamite. So those 4 city teams, it's acting up a little again, but that's okay. Those 4 city teams actually went in city-on-city battles, and we curated those fantastic players, as I mentioned earlier. So those people you saw getting pretty riled up in the theater were really top-notch players out there who are really committing serious time in their lives to practice and move up those rankings. So with that, how do we do all of that? Again, I talked earlier about the fact that this is an integrated league platform that's designed to allow tournaments to be conducted around all types of games. And so it is an online league platform and this physical live event platform, as I mentioned. What you'll see us starting to do is starting to move more into online as an integrated way that leads into what we would almost call more of the crescendo of the live events. So think of it more like we're going to have a season online, which allows us to have a great reach. And then what we will be doing is almost having the live events feel more like our March Madness. That's where we found the best of the best out there, and we're moving them into live events and city battles. Final slide on our city teams. As I mentioned, we have 4 city teams that we've already launched, and then last week we announced 8 more cities. So we announced Seattle, as well as San Francisco, Houston, Denver, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Boston, New York. Again, all of those cities are branded city teams, so it will be the Boston Revolt taking on the New York Fury, or the Phoenix Blaze taking on the Las Vegas Wildcards. So by the time we get to April, May, as we're doing, again, this big crescendo of these live city-on-city battles, we will now have 12 cities, potentially 16 cities, that we will have these branded communities and clubs. Again, the beauty is, and I always say this is kind of the most important thing that I think at the end of the day we're doing at Super League, is the beauty of that city component changes everything for us as a company, because really that becomes now the primary driver of what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a forum for local people to bond over their love of gaming. So whether you play 2 games or you play some of the next 5 games we plan to introduce, you can still be a fan of gaming. And right now, fandom is something that it's difficult to get a hold of because there's no geographic anchor. So, what I always say to people is, imagine now an LA Shockwaves player, let's say he's a 28-year-old hardcore ranked League of Legends player. He's walking down the street and he passes a 10-year-old Minecraft kid wearing an LA Shockwaves jersey who might have played in one of our Little League formats. And instantly, you've now just taken that huge, wide demo that never would have had a way to talk. How does a brand try to talk to that wide and diverse of a demo? And yet, you found a way to connect them on the one thing they both know that they each love, which is video gaming. And instantly, the older guy sees himself as Kobe Bryant, and he thinks he's just passing a kid who aspires to be Kobe and is a Lakers fan one day. So I will tell you as I wrap up that another huge surprise over the last year and a half. We've run 1,500 events to date, touched tens of thousands of people. I would say a big surprise is how much that city affinity or that desire to represent or root for your hometown lives in this video gaming community. It sounds like we're applying a traditional sports motif on something that's different. It's human instinct, it's inherent, and it's also because these avid video gamers know their time has arrived. They can see the power of esports, and they really feel strongly that it's their moment. And you can see the city pride just in the opening video that the winning Chicago Force had. So thank you.
Awesome. So, thank you. We have time for a couple questions, and I'm going to start off first. Do you have any good stories about brands that have really done a great job sort of getting into this world and activating the fandom and being part of the community, and any great case studies you can talk through?
Well, certainly for us, we feel very grateful that early on Logitech got behind us. So with the Minecraft property, they were trying to talk more to younger gamers. That's an audience that people are struggling to reach. How do you get to younger kids earlier in their life cycle and start to create some brand affinity? And they also had a desire to talk to gamers' parents. And so they did a great job at supporting our events. We did a lot of trial with different hot new products, peripherals they had. But they really understood, I think, too, that balance you're going to hear a lot today about, is it a brand that actually really speaks to this audience? And is it done in an authentic way that actually improves their experience? Riot's done a good job of making sure that we always remember that if we just focus on the player experience first, every decision we make runs through that lens, whether it be a brand integration or what have you, that everything good will come from that.
What about non-endemic brands? Any examples of non-endemics that have done a good job?
It's a good question. We haven't pushed too hard on that, and I think part of it is because we want to be so thoughtful about it. I think with the city communities for us, one thing that we realize is we can create a pretty rich tapestry of local and national or global brands that actually express what is an LA gamer and how is an LA gamer slightly different than a Chicago gamer. So you saw them talking smack a bit about Chicago pizza. So I think there's an interesting way that we could bring powerfully between our live events online and all of the properties that come with sponsoring our city teams and actually tell a story, I think, an interesting, very engaged story that I think will give a brand a lot more loyalty that goes beyond just a couple events.
That's awesome. Questions from the field out here. There's a question back there in the corner. Do we have, the mic is coming, the mic is coming.
Okay. Hello.
Hi.
I'm wondering, what is your recommended population size for a game? Like what size should your audience be if you want to move into a Super League format? And what's the cost of entry to do that?
Okay, and you're talking about the customer. in this case, yes. So, so right now, the way that our games work, and some of it is based on the architecture of how that actual game is designed. Usually, our playing audience in a physical theater is anywhere from 60 to 120 players. But again, this is a movie theater that has been permanently activated as a Super League arena, so you can be running multiple events per week across a lot of day parts. I think more importantly is as we have more and more of the integrated gameplay where the season happens online, you're now talking about a pretty large pool. So we could be turning on online for Minecraft and having 5,000 kids in LA trying to compete for those coveted seats that happen in the theater.
Cool. We have time for one more question over there, way in the back. Let's run all the way over there.
And I should mention very quickly, we have 16 cities by May, June across North America, 8 more cities that we will plan to roll out over the next year internationally. So our goal is to have a global footprint and really kind of own the space of the amateur league system.
My question is about protecting the Super League brand. So you're dealing with influencers in local areas. You can't necessarily control everything that's coming out of their mouth. So how do you manage not tarnishing the Super League brand while trying to have this very grassroots?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and I'm a former brand marketer, so I love the challenge, but the master brand of Super League, when you start to get into that wide of a demographic from 6-year-olds to 50-year-olds, that was a bit of a conundrum. And so that the City Lens really solved a lot of that for us. But I'd say probably the most important thing we've tried to do on the influencer and social front is, again, just show a little bit of patience. This is a very smart audience, and again, with a lot of good coaching from our game publisher partners. You know, when we launched League of Legends in the first 4 cities, Riot did a beautiful thing for us. They actually rotated us in their game client to draw their players to our website. So we had in 72 hours, 150,000 unique views, and 18,000 people fill out gamer profiles. And they told us a lot about themselves in those profiles. They told us some things about what brands they like and don't like. And that was just by rotating us in their North America client. So what they were doing for us as a partner was trying to help make sure that we got oversubscribed for those initial events. So we sold those events out within about an hour. But to the social point, they said, just watch Reddit, watch what happens, and let it play itself out. And it was very fascinating to watch how quickly some of the players got online and said, what is this thing? What is Super League? What is it? And then watching how quickly other gamers would get back and say, no, but look, Riot's endorsing this. They're listening to us. This is something we want. And I think, so for us, I think it was just a very valuable lesson that they were coaching us through, which is, look, these publishers know their community better than anybody. You've got to just listen to them and trust them that they know how these things work out, and when it's right to jump in and manage, and when it's right to just let the smart audience of people, this very engaged audience, sort through that. And again, as long as we're providing fantastic experiences, things are going to go our way at Super League.